Now that you've learned how to enter birth information for a client, we are going to learn how to set up a chart. Once you've clicked on your client's name in the My Astro screen, you will be taken here to the free horoscopes page. Scroll down the page to the Extended Chart Selection section located at the lower right of the page. Click on it and you will be taken to the Chart Parameter Selection screen. The first step here is to be sure that the correct client shows in the field that says Horoscope 4. And note here we don't have the right person, so I'm going to click on the drop-down menu and I'm going to scroll down until I find our test client whose name was John Jones, and there he is. And now John Jones is selected for a horoscope. This next little piece here that says partner is something you won't need to worry about because that's only if you're doing a relationship chart. And relationship charts are out of the scope of what I'll be teaching you here and should only be constructed with the help of an astrologer, and I'd be happy to help you with that later on. Next, we're going to choose the type of chart we want. Typically, you'll be choosing the natal chart and transits. So if you click on the drop-down menu here, you'll see here is where it says natal chart and transits. And now you've selected the type of chart that you're going to have. Underneath here you see it says chart drawing style. I don't worry about this part. I just leave it set at the web default style. You'll see there's so many different types of charts, and you know what? Not even I know all of these charts. So I just leave it with the web default. And that brings us to the options part of the page. And here is where you're going to select a start date for your chart. Now I always choose the date that I'm going to do the reading with the client. And that's because that way I have the most current planetary data for that person. So in this case, whatever today's date is, you're going to enter in it in by date, and then month, and then year. Now this is also useful if you're doing a chart to go back dating towards somebody's major events in their life. For example, if you wanted to see what the planetary arrangement was on a wedding day perhaps, or the birth of a child, or when some traumatic event happened, you can change the date here and set the chart up for that. The rest of these things here you won't worry about in your typical day-to-day use of a chart. And that brings us down to the image size. Now if you click on the image size menu, you see there are 4 options. And I always choose the middle option, the reduced image size 75%, and that's because it gives me the ability to see the other parts of the chart that we haven't even talked about yet, but we'll get to later. And it has a big enough chart of the customer's birth information that I can see it quite clearly. Now, in the additional objects section, this is where I choose what points other than the planets that I'm going to display on my chart. I always tend to choose the Pars Fortuna, and I choose these by clicking on the object while holding down the Shift key. And I choose Vertex, Lilith, Chiron, and Ceres. Now I release my Shift key and I hit the Control key and click on Galactic Center, because that's a new point that I like to see in people's charts. And in this column over here, you'll see several different choices, and you just choose them by clicking in the box. The ones that I choose are always use mean node and aspect lines to all. Then if you scroll down the page a bit, you'll see the button that says click here to show the chart. So you're going to click on that button. Now what this does is brings up the person's chart for you to see, and you'll notice there's a bunch of extraneous information here that you don't really need. So what I always do is click in the center of the chart somewhere, and it cleans up the page for me by just displaying the chart. Now you have a nice view for you to be able to use this chart with somebody. Alright, that's it for choosing the parameters of a chart. The next thing you'll need to do is to learn how to read the chart.